We kind of touched on it already, and Tim was getting into this for CJ Hicks, but not only CJ Hicks, Sonny Styles. Where do these guys play? Like when you have players that are quote unquote playmakers, guys that you can't miss, they need to be on the field. Where are you fitting them onto the field? I mean, they got to be some way part of this 11 in some capacity throughout the season, either in a rotational role for their typical positions, that's safety for Sonny Styles and linebacker for CJ Hicks, or it's in some other kind of hybrid role. And we've talked about CJ Hicks potentially playing the jack, but then Spencer brought up the good point of, do you want to kind of hamstring his development at linebacker? And that's something to consider here. But I do think they need to find a way for these guys to get on the field. CJ Hicks is a guy in high school. He started at linebacker, running back, kick returner, and punt returner. I mean, he's just a big-time athlete that needs to be on the field. And we talked about with Caden Curry last year. Like, I know Ryan Day said in his press conference last week, well, Caden had a great start to the year, kind of surprised us with how ready he was to get playing time. Then towards the end of the year, maybe fell off a little bit, quite honestly. Well, why did that happen? Was it just not the volume of reps he was getting? I think we need to see some of these younger guys actually getting involved earlier on. If they're that talented, they deserve to be on the field. And I think sometimes we see with programs, not just Ohio State, but somewhat of a loyalty to some of the guys that have been around for a long time. And I think there needs to be more of a priority set on the guys that are just talented enough to play. I mean, Sonny Styles earned snaps in the college football playoff, and Ohio State kind of stood up to that testament right there. I think he played more than 10 snaps in that game against Georgia. And after reclassifying, he really should be a true freshman right now in college. He has a huge leg up in terms of his development. But those are two guys that I think need to be on the field next season, and not just in some, 10 to 12 snaps per game. Like, I think they need to be on the field for upwards of 30 per game. And I don't know how that works with the guys they already have, especially at a crowded linebacker position. But I think they need to find a way to make it happen.
Yeah, there are players that end up in the picture at the end of every play. Whether it's video or film, whatever you're talking about, frame or data point. And Sonny Styles and CJ Hicks, in my opinion, are those kind of players. They figure out a way to get to the ball. You know what I mean? In one form or fashion. And I agree wholeheartedly. I endorse the message by Andy Backstrom.
Yeah, I was going to set you up for that, Tim, because I was going to read this quote from Jim Knowles here that says,
"Go ahead.
I think when you look at the potential best 11 players for the 2023 defense, he's talking about Sonny Styles. He's a guy that our staff is going to point to and say, we need to find a way to get him in there." Yeah. Look, Jim Knowles is a straight shooter, guys. He doesn't lie. He's not around to beat around the bush. He kind of tells you exactly how it is. When he says that, it's one thing for Ryan Day to say, like, "Oh, he really impressed us last year. We're going to have to see how his spring plays out. We'll see. Pump the brakes a little bit." No, Jim Knowles is like, "Yeah, we're probably going to point at that guy and say, let's get him on the field." Andy, that's a great one, Andy. And Tim, it's going to mean huge things for the Ohio State defense if it can get longer and more athletic in the secondary. I think Sonny Styles gives you the chance to do that, and that's a huge piece of everything.
I agree. And some guys got caught out last year, basically, by not looking natural. You know what I mean? I'm talking about in the secondary, not really fitting what the situation called for. And that's what you've got to have, guys that just instinctively, like I said, move to the football, one form or fashion. The football meaning whether it's in the air or in somebody's arm running down the field. And that's what they definitely got to move to.